Okay, last time we were learning at the dinim of Kriyas HaTorah that you shouldn't call two brothers in a row unless it's two separate Sefer Torahs. You're not allowed to call a father and a son together, a father and a son's son, meaning a grandson, from the father to the son to a grandson you don't call. Okay, now what happens if somebody was called to the Torah in one shul, then he went to another minyan, and he's allowed to get an aliyah again. Even the same aliyah that he had the first time, he's allowed to get the second aliyah. Now there's a question, could somebody have two aliyahs of the same Torah reading? Let's say, it was a custom in many shuls, the Rav always got Shlishi. Every Shabbos the Rav got Shlishi. Then you have like Shabbos Chazain, where it says that you're supposed to give it to the Rav, the Maftir. So they bring down in halacha that a lot of tzaddikim had Shlishi and Maftir and the same Kriya. In fact, Reb Nosson Adler was the Rebbe of the Chassam Sofer. He was a Kohen. He used to get every week Kohen and Maftir. Every week. In the same Torah reading, he was called twice. So some poskim write, you shouldn't do it, you should do it, you could do it. Or they give an example, what happens, they sell aliyahs, let's say, right? So somebody bought maftir for somebody. They bought it for the rabbi. And they gave the rabbi an aliyah middle of the kriya. And now the guy feels bad. He bought maftir for the rabbi. What can he do? So the thing is he can have a maftir also. Even though generally speaking you don't do it, but you're allowed to do it. Huh? Yes, the same thing. It's not a question only in Maftir.
Now, father and son, between Shvi and Maftir, it's not a problem, no? Because
it is a problem, only if it's two separate Sefer Torahs.
All right.
One Shabbos where you have one Sefer Torah, you cannot have a father Shvi and a kid Maftir, vice versa. If there's two Sefer Torahs, like Rosh Chodesh, Shabbos, Rosh Chodesh, Yom Tif, so then you can have the father and the son. It's Ayin Hara, yeah. Okay, now, what happens on a fast day? What? It's a separate Sefer Torah, so you could.
The same guy?
Oh, can you have the same guy based on what we said, yeah? If you can have Kohen and Maftir in the same Sefer Torah, why can you have Chosam Torah, Chosam Bereishis? Okay, now, what happens? Now, on a fast day, you're only supposed to call up people that are fasting. You're not supposed to call up people that are not fasting. Okay? So what happens if there's a Kohen in Shul and he's not fasting, but he's only Kohen? So the best thing is for him to walk out of Shul and to give somebody else, either a Levi or Yisrael Daliyah instead of him. But what happens if the person would be embarrassed to tell people he's not fasting? Would be embarrassed. So then the din is, he doesn't have to say anything, you can call him up and he can have the aliyah. Especially if the fast day is Monday and Thursday. Because Monday and Thursday are anyway days of Torah reading. Except we're just reading a different Torah, parsha. So then it's easier to give somebody even if they're not fasting. The same question applies, which is a very interesting question. What happens if a guy comes from Eretz Yisrael to America for Yom Tov? So he doesn't keep, whatever our minig is something else. But what happens if he doesn't keep? He only keeps 7 days. He doesn't keep the 8th day. Or he doesn't keep the 9th day of Simchas Torah. He keeps like in Eretz Yisrael, only 1 day Yom Tov. So now the question is, he comes to Shul Simchas Torah, or on the last day of Pesach, can I give him an aliyah? Because by him it's not Yom Tov anymore. So the question is, can I give him an aliyah or not? So it says, one second, L'chatchila, you shouldn't. Okay, but if you called him up, he can go. What?
It's the place.
No. Well, that's a good separate question about do you keep 1 day, do you keep 2 days? But I'm saying if the guy's keeping 1 day because he's planning to go back, and he holds like those opinions that say, if you're going back, you only keep 1 day, so then l'chatchila, you're not supposed to come to the Sefer Torah. But yeah, but if you called him up, then you can...
What if it's a Yom Kriya anyway?
So that's what they say. If it's a Yom Kriya, it's easier, but l'chatchila, you shouldn't do it.
There's a different Kriya for him?
If b'diavad, if they called him up, he can go. Lechatchila, they're not allowed to give him an aliyah.
Because it's a different kriya for him.
It's a different kriya, and it's not a yom tif. By him, it's not yom tif.
Because of embarrassment? That's why.
If he comes
Because
from
of what embarrassment?
No, the guy gets called from Leah.
No, because there are opinions that say b'diavad you can call him up if he's called. So if he b'diavad, but lechatchila you can't call him up.
What happened Shabbat that we have different kriya than Israel and he coming from Israel? There is no problem.
That's not a problem, getting aliyahs. No. Okay, now another din that could be practical sometimes. Let's say, okay, this week is not going to be possible because it's so visible. Let's say you call up a guy, it's Parshas Vayechi, okay? And by mistake, the guy opens the Torah to Vayigash. It happens a few times. Okay? So they didn't, or what happens if you call up a guy for his aliyah and you show him the wrong place? You show him the wrong place. You show him the wrong parsha, you showed him the wrong place. So what do?
How can the Valkyria know where he's reading?
It happens. You open the wrong page. You look.
It happened, I was there when it happened at the Rebbe's minyan.
The Rebbe cried, no?
No. Not, they didn't call the Rebbe up. They called Kayin up.
Beginning and end, he made a mistake.
They showed him the wrong parsha. And what he did was wrong. I'll tell you in a second what happened. Let me say first what the din is, and I'll tell you what happened. So the din is like this. If when he opened the Sefer Torah to show him the place, the mistaken place, the real place was visible, you showed him, let's see, a column off, right? So but when he opened the Sefer Torah, the column, he saw it. So then the din is you don't have to make a new bracha. Just because it was open when he made the bracha, he saw that place, which was the real place. What happens, like you said, it's a different parsha. So there's maybe 8 columns or 10 columns. So then the din is you have to make the bracha. But you don't see Baruch Hashem Amveirach again. That you said. You just make the bracha, Asher Baruch Abanu Mikol Ha'amim V'nasan Lanu Seirasei Baruch Atah Hashem Neisen Atah. You don't see Baruch Hashem Amveirach again.
You always have to show the place for the guy who's getting.
Well, that's the proper thing, that we show beginning and end.
Yeah.
So, but I'm saying if you show the guy the beginning and when you opened it,
Right, no, I understand.
the right place was visible, where even though he touched the wrong place, the din is he doesn't have to remake the bracha. If he didn't see the place because it was like a different parsha, but the case of the Rebbe's minyan was mamish a different parsha. So the Kohen happened to be a Rav, by the way. So when he made a mistake, he realized. So he said again, Baruch Hashem Amveirach. And the Rebbe went like,
What's going on?
what's going on? He's not supposed to say Baruch Hashem Amveirach. Just the bracha itself. But that's the halach in Shulchan Aruch. What?
The guy reads from the right column, but he reads from the wrong place.
Again, he has to go correct, but he doesn't have to make another bracha again.
Just went back to the right place.
Right. He just starts the right place. Not only the same column. I mean, if it's, let's say, sometimes you open the Sefer Torah 2-3 columns. So if it was in that visible area, you don't have to make the bracha.
So it's not just a minute to see where you're reading, it's not just a minute to know where you're.
Well, you're supposed to show the person where he's reading. Some people, like we learned already, kiss the Torah, and some people don't. A lot of people don't because they're afraid of erasing the letter. A lot of times people take this talus and you go on the Torah like this, so you're erasing a letter. Or you can pass it the Sefer Torah, it could be Chilul Shabbat. They say, we learned that din before from Kitzur, that sometimes you can end up doing a few aveis. You can be desecrating Shabbos, so you can make a Sefer Torah apostle. You could do a lot of things wrong. Okay, next. The minimal size of an aliyah is 3 psukim. The Gemara says in Megillah that the minimal kriya is 3 people, right? That's the smallest kriya. But the Gemara says you don't have less than 10 psukim for a Torah reading. So the Gemara asks, the kriya put in morning, the Yavi Amalek is only, the Gemara asks, is only 9 psukim. So the Gemara answered because it's a whole complete thing by itself. But normally, the minimal kriya of a Monday, Thursday, whenever it is, has to be at least 10 psukim, 3 psukim per aliyah. That's the minimal. But there's a lot of them. I don't want to get into it now. Sometimes you can't stop if there's right before a parsha that has 2 psukim or after parsha.
It's 9. Rabbi, it's 9 psukim. If you have 3 aliyahs and 3 psukim, it's 9.
I said, but nevertheless, altogether you're supposed to have 10 psukim, meaning even though the minimal aliyah is 3, but one aliyah at least is supposed to have 4, except I put him in the morning. Okay, now, okay, that's told in. Okay, a kid cannot be Eila L'Torah. A kid under bar mitzvah cannot have an aliyah. Only mafter, by the way. It says mafter a kid can have under bar mitzvah. Even though in our circles we don't do it, but halachically in Shechnot Al Rebbe also brings down a kid under bar mitzvah is allowed to have mafter. Not a girl under bas mitzvah. That not. But a boy under bar mitzvah is allowed to have maftir, but otherwise a kid cannot have an aliyah. As far as people that's women don't have aliyahs, as far as desecration of Shabbos, we said already nowadays it's what's called tinik shenishba. They don't know, and therefore you can give him an aliyah.
Rabbi Bar, he has to have knowledge.
What?
12-year-old or whatever needs to have knowledge.
For
You're
what?
saying to give a mafia to a child.
Yeah, he has to know how to read it.
Okay.
But you know, there's a lot of 8-year-olds can read maftir much better than the adults. I mean,
That's what your bar said.
yeah, you can give a 3-year-old. Yeah, you can give a kid under.
A kid under the mitzvah can learn the Torah?
No, the gamein loyi akerev. It's interesting. I was told, I didn't see it anywhere. I was told that by the Moroccans, they used to have kids under bar mitzvah reading the Torah. That's what I was told.
You didn't know. Maybe you had
I know there were Moroccans here in Shul that told us in the film shows in Morocco they used to learn the Torah when they were 12, 11. Again, I never saw it in Sfarim because in Shechnach it says you're not allowed to read be a Balkar if you're under bar mitzvah.
Yemenites also 5 years old.
Yemenites do a lot of interesting things. They have their own book.
maybe the kid or
Okay?
the kid now knows that they have adults know about it.
No, it says, man, even if there's no other Balkari, you can't have a kid laning. Because he has to fulfill people's obligation. So you can't have a kid
Some
laning.
people they have a Sefer Torah that holds a Sefer Torah for 12.
That has nothing to do with laning. That is to do to count him for a minion. But it has nothing to do, even if you can count him for a minion, he still can't lane.
Bar mitzvah boy getting his first aliyah, the maftir is
It's a machlokes.
What do you mean?
If you want to fast, you're allowed to get a young kid.
What do you mean?
saying you can get an aliyah anyway then, so therefore it's not.
Yeah, but we said our minig is not to give a kid mafted. And okay, next. When you finish laning, when you finish Kriyas HaTorah, you say Chotzi Kaddish, half Kaddish. And then you do Hagba. Now, the wrong people are here. I mean, the right people are here, but not the people that should be hearing this. When you do Hagba, it says in Shechnarach like this. You open up 3 columns, not 15. Okay, then they have no room to put it back on the shulchan. Okay, it's not a show-off strength muscle building show. You have to. Well, no, Hagba is for the covet of the Sefer Torah. You have to be very careful. Now, the Sfardim, interestingly, do Hagba before Torah reading. The Ashkenazim do Hagba after Sefer Torah reading. So it says like this: you pick up the Sefer Torah to 3 columns, and then you go to the right and to the left, that everybody should see the writing of the Sefer Torah. It says that when they do Hagba, people have to see. I mean, that doesn't mean everybody charges the Sefer
But
Torah.
going to your left, no?
You go, well, it says you go to the right, to the left. It doesn't matter.
Right first, left.
And then, so there's a lot of different customs. What do we do? Like a lot of places, they don't put it back down in the Sefer Torah. They just sit down with it, and then the one that does Glila is the Goylel, by the way. Our minig is we put it back on the Sefer, on the Shulchan, so therefore the guy that does Hagba is actually the Goylel. Actually the one that rolls the Sefer Torah, not the guy that does Glila. Now the Gemara says the Geilin is Neitos Charkulim. It's a big thing to do the Glila, because that actually airs out the Sefer Torah, and that's now when you put the Sefer Torah back, whether you're sitting down with it or on the table, you put it that the seam is in the middle. Whether seam, the before or after, the closest seam to where you're laying, you close the Sefer Torah and make the seam in the middle.
Tefillah.
Yeah, the separate, yeah. It's called the seam in English. You put the seam in the middle, and then you tie the Sefer Torah. Now, there are different interesting minhagim. Our minig is to tie the Sefer Torah at the bottom third. That's what by the way, Darach HaShulchan also says that you tie the Sefer Torah at the bottom third of the Sefer Torah, and then,
Top of the bottom.
huh?
Top of the bottom third.
Yeah, at the bottom third, by definition, means the top of the bottom third. I didn't say in the bottom third, I said at the bottom third. In English, that means at the top of the bottom third. Right?
What's the difference with the Akbar before and after? There is a reason to it?
Just different minhagim. The people should see the Kriya. The question is, do you look before or do you look after? Okay,